Welcome back to Improve, where we dive deep into the dark underbelly of finance and power. Today, we're uncovering one of the most blatant examples of corporate corruption in modern history, the 2012 HSBC money laundering scandal. This isn't just a story about a bank breaking the rules. It's a window into how the entire world economy is built like a house of cards, propped up by corruption at every level. Imagine a bank so massive, so intertwined with global finance, that even when caught laundering billions for drug cartels and rogue nations, the authorities let it off with a slap on the wrist. Why? Because prosecuting them might topple the whole system. In a fair, honest world, we'd see executives in handcuffs and the bank shut down. But ours isn't fair. It's rigged to protect the powerful, ensuring that one corrupt pillar doesn't bring down the fragile structure. Stick around as we break it down, expose the details, and connect it to the bigger picture of why our economy is always one scandal away from collapse. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. First, let's set the stage. HSBC, or Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, is one of the world's largest banks, with assets over $3 trillion today and operations in more than 60 countries. Founded in 1865, it's a British-based giant that's become a cornerstone of global finance. But in the early 2000s, behind the polished facade, HSBC was turning a blind eye, or even worse, facilitating some of the most dangerous financial crimes imaginable. This scandal didn't happen overnight. It stemmed from systemic failures in HSBC's anti-money laundering controls, which regulators had flagged as early as 2003. Yet, the bank ignored warnings, allowing criminals to exploit its vast network. By 2012, a U.S. Senate investigation blew the lid off, revealing how HSBC had become the preferred financial institution for Mexican and Colombian drug lords. So what exactly went down? Let's break it into the key crimes. Number 1. HSBC admitted to processing at least $881 million in proceeds from notorious cartels like Mexico's Sinaloa and Colombia's Norte del Valle. We're talking staggering amounts of cash, literal truckloads funneled through HSBC's Mexican branches. Employees even widened teller windows to accommodate boxes stuffed with dirty dollars. This wasn't petty crime. It fueled violence that killed tens of thousands in the drug wars. But it didn't stop there. HSBC also violated U.S. sanctions by handling over $19.4 billion in transactions for countries like Iran, Sudan, and Cuba. They stripped identifying info from wire transfers to sneak past filters, potentially funding terrorism and rogue regimes. And get this, HSBC maintained accounts for over 2,000 high-risk affiliates in tax havens, like the Cayman Islands, ignoring red flags that screamed money laundering. The Senate report, led by Senator Carl Levin, painted a picture of blatant negligence, or complicity. HSBC's own compliance team was understaffed and ignored, while executives prioritized profits over ethics. Even after the 2012 fine, leaks in 2020 showed HSBC continue moving suspicious funds, including for a massive Ponzi scheme, while on probation. This wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a pattern that exposed how banks like HSBC operate in the shadows, enabling global crime for profit. Now, you'd think such egregious crimes, as prosecutors call them, would lead to harsh punishment. But here's where the corruption shines through. In December of 2012, the U.S. Department of Justice hit HSBC with a record $1.92 billion fine, a $1.256 billion in forfeiture, and $665 million in civil penalty. Sounds big, right? But relative to HSBC's profits, it was pocket change, less than a month's earnings. Worse, no one went to jail. This is what shows you how the world really works. Not a single executive. Instead, they got a deferred prosecution agreement, meaning charges were dropped after 5 years of good behavior and independent monitoring. Why? Attorney General Eric Holder admitted it. HSBC was too big to fail. Prosecuting the bank would revoke its U.S. charter, trigger a financial panic, and cost thousands of jobs. Now, can the everyday person get away with this? No, we can't. Even UK officials lobbied against it, warning of market chaos. Regulators like the OCC and the Fed had known about issues for years, but dragged their feet, showing a cozy relationship that screams regulatory capture. By 2022, the Fed quietly ended its enforcement action, letting HSBC off the hook entirely. This brings us to the bigger picture. The HSBC scandal isn't isolated. It's proof that the global economy is a fragile house of cards built on corruption and held up by the too big to fail doctrine. Coined during the 2008 financial crisis, this idea means some institutions are so interconnected that their collapse could domino the whole system. But it also shields them from accountability, turning banks into untouchable empires. Think about 2008. Banks like Lehman Brothers and AIG peddled toxic assets fueled by greed and fraud, leading to a meltdown that cost trillions and millions of jobs. Governments bailed them out with taxpayer money, but no top executives went to prison. Why? Same reason as HSBC: fear of systemic failure. Corruption thrives here. High-level bribery, lobbying, and influence peddling ensures regulators look the other way. Look at Bank of America, dubbed too crooked to fail in exposés, riddled with scandals from mortgage fraud to money laundering. Yet, it survives because letting it fall would crash markets. Or the World Bank itself, plagued by dysfunction and corruption in aid distribution, wasting billions while claiming to fight poverty. This isn't capitalism, it's cronyism on steroids. And a truly fair system would prosecute the guilty, imprison schemers like HSBC's executives, and shut down repeat offenders, no matter the size. But our economy relies on these giants, intertwined through derivatives, loans, and global trade. One pull, and it all tumbles, like a house of cards. Corruption isn't a bug, it's the glue holding it together. From political bribes to embezzlement that siphons wealth from the masses. Scandals like HSBC show how fragility breeds more crime. Banks take risks, knowing bailouts await, eroding trust and stability. As global corruption indices worsen, we're one major scandal from other crises. So what can we do? We have to demand real reform, break up too big to fail banks, enforce personal accountability, and end the revolving door between regulators and finance. Share this video, comment your thoughts below, and let's push for a system that's honest, not rigged. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more exposés. Like the video if you learned something new, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.